You've labeled yourself. Maybe you call it anxiety. Maybe it's depression. Maybe it's just, I'm the type of person who always fails at this. And now, that label follows you. It's in the room when you wake up. It sits next to you when you try to work. It whispers when you're about to take a risk. You didn't choose this, but somehow, it became you. Here's the dark part. You think you're describing reality. You're not. You're building a prison, word by word, label by label. And the longer you believe that label is real, the longer you stay trapped inside it. But what if I told you that depression, failure, heartbreak, none of it actually exists? Not as a thing, not as a monster, not as an object you can touch. There's a protocol used by doctors for over a century that can dissolve these labels in minutes. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use it on yourself. Here's the trap almost everyone falls into. It's called naive realism. Sounds academic. It's not. It's the silent killer of your potential. It's the belief that the labels you attach to your life are your life. You feel sad. You can't sleep. You lost motivation. So you say, I have depression. And suddenly, depression is an entity, a thing with weight, a thing attacking you, a monster in the room. Most people live their entire lives like this, trapped by words they invented, never once questioning if the cage is even real. But here's what's actually happening in your brain. Your nervous system generates raw data. Cortisol spikes, dopamine drops, sleep disruption, social withdrawal. That's it. That's all that's real. A pile of biological signals. Noise. But your brain hates chaos. It's wired to survive, not to be accurate. So it reaches for a label, a name, a diagnosis. The problem? Once you name it, you start treating the name, not the signals. And that's where everything breaks. But doctors? They figured this out a long time ago. And you can use the exact same method on yourself. It's called the Diagnostician Protocol. 4 steps, and I'm going to walk you through each one. Step 1, the white coat. Here's the counterintuitive truth. When you're suffering, the worst thing you can do is feel. Feeling puts you inside the problem. You become the patient and the disease. You can't operate on yourself while you're bleeding out. So here's the tool. Close your eyes. Literally imagine putting on a white lab coat. You are now the doctor. The suffering version of you, that's the patient. You don't say, I feel terrible. You say, the patient is presenting with distress. Noted. Now, what are the symptoms? This isn't just a mental trick. This activates your prefrontal cortex, the rational planning part of your brain. And it physically dampens activity in your amygdala, your fear center. It's the same reason surgeons don't faint when they see blood. They've trained detachment. Now you're wearing the coat. Step 2 is where we actually use it. Your story is lying to you. She left me. I failed again. I always do this. These are narratives, not data. And narratives fuel rumination. They keep you spinning. Data fuels solutions. So here's the tool. I call it the symptom audit. Grab paper or open your notes app and write only biological and behavioral observations. Third person, clinical. Not I'm heartbroken. Instead, subject is experiencing insomnia, appetite suppressed, cortisol likely elevated, dopamine withdrawal symptoms present, social routine disrupted. No emotion words, no story, just signals. This forces something psychologists call cognitive diffusion. You stop fusing with the feeling. You stop being the feeling. You observe it, like weather passing by. You're not the storm, you're the guy watching the radar. But step 3? This is where it gets dangerous. Because in step 3, we destroy the label entirely. Here's a medical secret they don't teach you. Disease doesn't exist. Sounds insane. Stay with me.
Pneumonia is not a thing. You cannot touch pneumonia. There's no pneumonia-shaped object sitting in your lungs. What exists is inflamed tissue, fluid buildup, bacteria, fever, raw signals. Pneumonia is just the word doctors invented to group those symptoms together. It's a fiction, a useful fiction, but a fiction. And here's the key. The fiction is not the enemy. Forgetting it's a fiction is the enemy. So here's the tool. The fiction check. Look at your symptom list. Ask yourself, what label have I been using to group these signals? Write it down. Depression, burnout, heartbreak. Now, cross it out. Literally, draw a line through it. And remind yourself, this word is a fiction, a convenient shorthand. It is not a monster. It is not attacking me. It is a tool, and right now, I'm using it poorly. This breaks what psychologists call the reification loop, the cognitive error where we treat abstract concepts as concrete objects. You've been fighting a ghost and losing. Leave this loop running, and your brain keeps feeding a monster that was never real. But step 4 is where you rebuild. And this is where everything changes. Here's the counterintuitive truth most people never realize. The same symptoms can be grouped under completely different labels. And the label you choose? It changes the treatment plan. This isn't positive thinking. This is strategic framing. Here's the tool, the re-diagnosis. Take your crossed out label and ask, what's another way to name this cluster of symptoms? Old diagnosis, depression. What does that imply? Chronic, identity-based, passive waiting, maybe medication. New diagnosis, dopamine recalibration phase. What does that imply? Temporary, mechanical, active recovery. Ride it out, adjust inputs. Same raw data, different diagnosis, completely different behavior. Another example, old diagnosis, heartbreak. Treatment plan? Ruminate, replay memories, wait for time to heal. New diagnosis, attachment system detox. Treatment plan? Remove triggers, rebuild routine, let neurochemistry reset. Same signals, different net. Average people let their first label run their entire lives. You're choosing your label like a doctor chooses a treatment. And that's the shift. This isn't a technique, this is a role. You are not a person who struggles with anxiety. You are a diagnostician, currently treating a patient, yourself, who presents with elevated stress responses. The moment you internalize this, everything shifts. Crises become cases, emotions become data points, labels become tools you control. Most people will never see their own mind this clearly. They'll stay fused to their labels forever, letting words they invented run their biology. You don't have to. Here's the truth no one wants to hear. Reality is chaos, unordered, meaningless noise. Concepts, words like failure, depression, success, they're not discoveries, they're inventions. Nets we throw over the chaos to make it manageable. You're not a victim caught in the net, you're the one throwing it, so throw a better one.